Hi guys, Lee Cole here. Hope you're doing great. Thanks so much for looking at this video. I have got one of my goodest online friends, and I really mean that in all seriously, Tom. You know I think the world of you. Tom Gaddis, he's got a great launch happening later this week and so much important stuff to tell us about helping businesses with their online marketing. Tom, say hello. And you and I were just talking, and I want you to just roll back a minute because you were about to say something extremely critical.
Sure. Well, aloha, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. Lee, thanks, man. Thanks so much for having me. You know, it's so funny. When I put out my first product, you were the first email I got promoting it in my regular inbox. And I opened it up and showed my wife. I was like, look, I used to buy from this guy and he's promoting my thing.
Well,
like,
you have done
so
such a
yeah.
service for everybody because you're a hell of an online entrepreneur. You help your clients
Oh,
so
thank you.
much, and you're so giving by packaging that up. You're a great teacher. You're so giving by packaging that up and letting other people see what you're doing. You're doing a huge service to the community.
Well, thank you. And yeah, and that's actually, you mentioned that, being of service, and that's really kind of what brought this launch about. Like we really weren't planning on doing anything around this time. Obviously, I'm in Hawaii. And so of course, we were shut down just like everybody else. And, even though they've eased some of the restrictions for us locally here, like we have a very strict thing with people that come into the state. They have to be quarantined for 14 days. And, when all this happened for us and me and my business partner, Nick Ponte, we both have local agencies here. And so, when all this stuff first started happening, we had clients that were, they were canceling, they were putting services on hold, nobody really knew what was going on. And, we were obviously concerned, right, for our businesses. But one of the things that Nick and I both agreed on is like, look, okay, yeah, things are rad. We're not really sure what to do, but as entrepreneurs, we couldn't just sit around and not do anything, right? And so we put our heads together and we're like, well, what can we start doing? And one of the things that we were noticing, like right off the bat, is that businesses just weren't responding to the typical things that we would offer them. We do websites, we do SEO, that kind of stuff in our agencies, and they just weren't responding to that. But they did have a really big problem, and the really big issue they were facing is a lot of these local businesses just really hadn't done anything to secure their spot online, right? Like they now all of a sudden, people have been telling them like, oh, you need to be online, you need to have a website, you need to have a Google My Business page, you should have reviews online, all this stuff. People have been telling them that stuff for years, but a lot of them just weren't really doing it because they thought, oh yeah, I mean, I get you need to do that, but I'm doing just fine without that stuff, right? And now all of a sudden they're not doing just fine without that stuff. People are going to their websites, that weren't going there before. Now they're more than ever, they're researching these businesses online to see who's open, to see who's good to do business with, all that kind of stuff, right? And so it got so, plus like not only that, but as we've started to reopen, as places have started to reopen, now there's all this new stuff with, people need to wear masks, there's social distancing, there's all these rules that are in place. And small business owners, imagine you're a small business owner and you've got some customers in your place and some guy comes in the front door and he's not wearing a mask. Like the business owner, it's really hard for them to control that. But now all of a sudden somebody sitting in that restaurant goes online and they're like, hey, this place isn't safe. I saw people in there not wearing masks. Like that is that's a huge issue for them. And, it got so bad in the beginning that Google took away the ability for people to put reviews on Google My Business pages because of all of these. Even Google saw like, this is unfair, like this is a
Mhm.
situation that these people can't control. And they just recently turned that ability back on. Like really the only thing you could do on your Google My Business page for a long time was just update your hours because they wanted you to update them for COVID, but everything else they just kind of squashed. But now they've opened that back up. And so now these business owners are really kind of, they're just been forced into this situation where, yeah, things are opening up, but a lot of people still aren't really going out, right? They've gotten used to doing things online. They've gotten used to finding stuff online. And so, the businesses that are there online that have what we call the influence, right? That have a lot of, that have a great looking website, that have, all those trust factors that you need online, reviews and citations and all that stuff. Like they're killing it. And these other businesses are left behind. So we realized right away, like, okay, so we've been offering the wrong services, right? Let's fix that. So we masterminded with a couple of people. We're part of a mastermind group with some seven-figure agency owners.
Can we put a pin in this right here? And I just want to,
yep.
Before you start talking about exactly what you're selling and all that stuff, because what you're saying is so incredibly important. I was sitting here thinking while you were talking, how they say it takes 21 days to build a new habit or something like that, and a month, I don't know, whatever. But basically, what I'm seeing in general is, we've been on lockdown, according to where you live in the United States. Everybody's been on lockdown at least 2 months, and a lot of states have been on lockdown going on 3 months, 3.5 months. And I think really what's happened, well, here's a great example. I love to eat out, but now I don't go anywhere in my car. I'm in Georgia. It's a lot more relaxed here than it is in some places. But I still got out of that habit of, I work at home. My wife's here, just saying, hey, honey, where do you want to eat lunch today? I got out of that habit. And the habit I got into was Uber Eats. And it took me a couple of months to rebuild an entire new habit. And so I think what you're saying is, most of these businesses that we deal with, they've been in business for a while. They've already got business or had business before the lockdown. They had business. They had traditional ways of getting business, word of mouth, newspaper advertising, like little local newspapers, radio spots, whatever. And, over time they had built up a clientele. And what happened was that the lockdown basically it's like a giant fire hose, right? The lockdown basically just took the clientele coming out of that fire hose and went, right, and just shut it off. And then everybody builds the new habit, and there's so much fear in the air, and frankly, a lot of anger and things like that. And so people are trying to protect themselves and protect their families. And it makes total sense, given that we all have the internet completely available to us on this thing. It makes total sense that everything shifted to figuring out, well, do I want to eat there? Do I want to trade there? And then that naturally shifts into, well, seeing what other people say and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I think what you're telling me is that a lot of businesses saw their traffic just, take a nosedive. Traffic, by that I mean real people walking in the store, calling up, et cetera, take a nosedive. And you looked around, but you apparently spotted some businesses that were thriving, and guess what? Those were the ones that had already, sort of checked all the little boxes on their online presence. And so I think really what you're telling me is you're helping all these other businesses finally get their what together when it comes to online marketing for themselves. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, that is. That's a great overview of what we're doing. And, one of the things that's interesting about the news, they call it the new normal, right? There's this new normal, which is what you're talking about, these new habits people have put together. And there are a couple things about that I think are super important. One is like a really great example, I think, of this is Zoom, right? So Zoom is, they, before the shutdown and all this stuff, like they were trying to figure out how they could get to 10 million users, right? Or 20 million users, something like that. Like that was their goal. Like, and they didn't know how to do it. They weren't able to do it. Then this happens. All of a sudden, they have 250 million users on their platform, like instantly, something they can't even control. And now all these people that normally wouldn't even participate in a Zoom thing can do it, right? That's also happening in other areas, like you talked about with Uber Eats and other vehicles that people are now using that they weren't using before, right? Opening up areas where these business owners may, there's some opportunity there for them to be able to take advantage of more people being online if they have their, as you call it, their what together, right?
Right.
The second part of that you brought up when you were talking there is I just did I was just talking to Mike Michalowicz the other day, and he's written a few best-selling books, but one of the things he talked about as entrepreneurs that really resonated with me is the first thing we need to do is stop calling it the recession. And his suggestion is that we start calling it the reinvention, because right now
I love that.
business is being reinvented, and you have to reinvent your business, right? And that's what we've been doing through this, like reinventing our business. And, Nick and I have been on the phone about, we were on the phone with each other every day talking about what we were seeing, what we were hearing from business owners, what should our positioning be? What should we be offering? What should our wording be? Like we put a lot of time and effort and talking to other people we knew that we considered smart, what were they doing? What were they seeing? And really just figuring it out, right? Like you just had to figure it out, reinventing the whole thing. And now other business owners need to do that same thing, and they don't really know how to do that. Now, one I guess upside to what's been going on, and one thing we noticed kind of right away was like it was easier to get in touch with business owners because the owners were actually working in the business. They were answering the phone. Like a lot of people that when we were trying to contact them before the shutdown were never, they're never available, never returned our call. Like all of a sudden they were the ones answering the phones when we were talking about, hey, we would like to help you, adjust to this and be able to get more business. Like they were at least willing to listen. It wasn't the, like, I don't have time for this kind of call. Like they really need help, right? Like they need somebody to guide them. And and I think, Nick and I really strongly believe that as agency owners, as people who know digital marketing, just like the people watching this video, that we really have a responsibility to take our skill set out there and help these businesses. Like that's what's going to speed up this recovery, is us out there doing this. And so, once we kind of figured all that stuff out and we zeroed in on, the service, a service that was really resonating, something that, business owners needed, it basically helps them push up their influence online and makes anything they're trying to do better, figuring out the right price points, all that stuff. We were having a lot of success with it. And, I mentioned we weren't really planning on putting on a product because, it was working for us, right? Like we could have just sort of kept it to ourselves and started doing it. But because of what I mentioned earlier, we believe as digital marketers, it's our responsibility to help. We felt like keeping that to ourselves would be a disservice. Like we couldn't do that. We needed to share this, get it out in the hands of other people so that they could help the businesses in their area. Because the goal is to help as many businesses as possible. And we just can't do it. Like we can't do it ourselves. And so that's why we put together Digital Profit Machine, showing that whole process, showing what we do. And
so Digital Profit Machine is basically the summation of all the changes you've made, what you've learned, the different approaches to businesses, seeing what, we've had a massive sea change in the way businesses need to market themselves. As digital entrepreneurs, frankly, we've been telling businesses this stuff for a decade, right?
Yep.
And they've been kind of sort of listening a little bit, but like you said, business is good. People are coming in the front door. All right, I could get another 5%, but I'm putting out all these fires in my business. I don't really need to, I don't have time to listen, blah, blah, blah. I love the fact that you said it's easier to get hold of them, because who the hell's going to work besides the guy or gal that owns the business, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Now
know?
all of a sudden they're there.
But see,
Yeah.
now you're talking to, I mean, you're hitting them right in the thing that they're absolutely going to have to get in gear about if they're planning on surviving, and if they're planning on even, I mean, even surviving, but if they're planning on growing and thriving. And you mentioned, I was just scrolling through your sales letter a little bit, and you called this online influencer services, which I think is a really, really great name. And so
Oh,
basically,
thank you.
you found a stuff, okay, because, hey, folks listening to this, we're not going to give away the farm. So there. You're just going to have to wait a couple of days and buy this at Tom's ridiculously low price. But I swear, just because I called it ridiculously low does not mean he's going to raise it between now and then, because he's not going to do that. But, I'm just saying, I've looked at it. This is incredible. It is as good as it sounds. But so, yeah, I mean, we are talking somewhat in generalities, because what you got, I mean, you told me, a lot of details. What you guys have noticed and what you're now selling. I mean, when you told me part of what you're selling, I'm sitting there thinking, and Lee, you've been doing this since what, 2007? Why the hell where's your brain been, man? I mean,
Yeah.
what have you been doing? Because this is so freaking obvious. As a matter of fact, I do a version of what you're talking about in another venue. And I'm thinking, seriously, dude? I mean, that was blindingly obvious, but also I can see blindingly correct. And I can see how that fits into the online influencer thing. So basically, you guys put this together, which is a huge service to the local business marketing community. You put this together into a new product that's going live when? What day are we going live here?
It's going to go live Friday, June 26th, 11
Cool.
a.m. Eastern. Yep. Yeah. And basically, what Digital Profit Machine is really, it is the things that you talked about, but it's also a complete system. And we wanted, when we were putting this together, we worked very hard to make that the case, because there's a couple of things that are critical to succeeding as an agency owner, right? And being able to, you have to be able to deliver value, which, we identified the services that bring the most value to these local businesses. You also have to be able to offer them at a price that is competitive, isn't the right word, but that's appealing to them, right? That's an easy to say yes type of a thing. And then you have to, two more things to that. You have to be able to identify the right people to go after, especially in an economy where things are kind of restricting in, it's really important that you can quickly identify the best prospects to go after. Then you have to be able to, have good strategies to reach out to them that aren't salesy. Because especially right now, if you're reaching out to businesses in your
Right.
typical hard selling kind of way, you just don't sound
You're going to come off
like
sounding like a carpetbagger. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what you sound like. And so you can't do that. And so, we have some strategies to get around that. And then you also need to be able to automate, the process and do the fulfillment in an easy way. And so we show you how to do all of that, right? Like, we have this software that we include with the front end product. It's a lead finder software, and it's probably the best lead finder software that I've seen, because it does a couple of things really great. One is it's the only software that really pulls out these data points that we're talking about, that identifies these businesses that really need your help. But it does other stuff as well. Like, it gives you other information, name, address, phone number, all that stuff, Google My Business Listing, citations, all those things we talked about that businesses, need to have going on. But the thing it does really great is, and I'm not really sure how our launch partner, David Sprague, I'm not really sure how he did this, but they are able to actually get real emails. Like, they have 6 or 7 databases that they compare and pull.
Right.
And so it does a great job of bringing back actual emails, which I think is really kind of the Achilles heels of most software, because
Right.
you go in and it's like, yeah, it does emails, but you don't get very many, and this one really pulls in a lot. So,
And the ones you get really aren't the ones that get opened anyway. So a lot of
yeah,
times.
exactly. So, I mean, the software to help you identify who you need to reach out to, the people
Mm-hmm.
that can really use your help the most is key. Then, of course, we give you the whole prospecting toolkit we put together with templates and emails and scripts and all that stuff. We show you how to, what service, we even show you what service to offer. We even have a service in there that, this is one I was telling Lee about before. We're charging $300 recurring a month. And it's like, it's a service that no one ever thinks of offering a business owner. But when you see it, you'll be like, just like you are like, why didn't I think of that? Like, it's just kind of
I mean, you
a
saw my
no-brainer.
face when you told me. I
Yeah, I
was like,
know. You were like,
seriously? I mean, this is like, wow. I mean, I'm like, God knows, did somebody drop you on your head when you were little or something?
yeah. So we go over that. We also show you how to do fulfillment, right? And give you everything you need to easily do fulfillment. So it really is
Very cool.
it really is a complete package. And, the, I think a lot of people that would put something out like this out would just put out the software or charge an arm and a leg for it. And again, our goal here is to get this in the hands of as many people as possible so they can help as many businesses as
I
possible.
got it.
So
I
yeah,
got
we
it.
kept it really super low cost.
This is really, really, really awesome. It's very apropos to what's happening. I mean, it's all about what's happening. You've addressed the issues. You're not just giving somebody a little bright idea or here's the software, go out and use it, even though you don't know how to run a business around it. You've encapsulated the whole thing in all the training that someone needs. I mean, it sounds like a well-meaning newbie could just look at the training, and actually start building a business doing this. I love that. Are there any OTOs with this? We don't have to
So
state prices, Tom, because I know your prices I understand where your heart is, and I know your prices are well within the reach of anybody who wants to get into this. But could you just tell us qualitatively a little bit about them?
yeah, sure. So, first of all, like all of the things that we try to do at Offline Sharks, we work really hard to make the main product all you really need, right? Like,
Right.
you don't need to have anything extra.
It's
So
not
I
a
just
bait
want
and
to,
switch. It's not a
yeah,
now
no,
that
I
you
just want to
bought
say that up
this.
front. You're
Yeah.
not going to get in and be like, oh, and here's the, like,
Yeah.
so what
No.
we did here is we have the first upgrade package it's basically like what we call an accelerator pack. So it's additional marketing materials, it's additional sales materials, it's lead magnets, it's email autoresponder series, it's blog posts. It's basically just stuff that isn't necessary to have to implement what we're doing, but can be nice to have and can help accelerate your results, right?
Right.
So we put that in there. So we have that upgrade. The other upgrade in there is one of the things that we also noticed during this time is like, once you're kind of in with a business owner, the way, once you get a prospect in and you've got a relationship with them, it's important to really get the most value you can out of those prospects, right? And
Mm-hmm.
help them at the same time. So we do a thing that we call service stacking. So, we identify other services besides what we initially reach
Mm-hmm.
out to them that we can do as kind of add-ons and get our pricing up while still delivering really great value to them, right? Like, so that's really key right now. Like,
Yeah.
you have to be delivering super value. So the second upgrade is a special deal on it's a course that we have on one of the services that we stack on. So it's social media management. It's called Social Sumo. It's a great course, but it shows you how to do that. So it's just, again, not something you need to do what we talk about in the thing, but if you want another service that you maybe aren't doing or want to see how we do it and that you can stack on and get your monthly fees up. It's a recurring type thing as well, which again is really critical in a down economy that, when you're bringing clients in, you're not just bringing them in one and done.
Right.
super important for your business health to be doing that recurring. So yeah, so that's it.
That's actually what it's all about, is the
Yeah.
recurring side. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's so funny because it's like a lot of the things we talk about, like, yeah, they were all critical things before, but they're even more critical now. And it's even more, I think, apparent to people like, oh my gosh, like this is what I need to be doing.
Right.
I
I
need to
mean,
be building.
it's so much easier to talk to a business owner because in their minds, well, okay, this is what a friend of mine says. This will cover the whole thing. This is what a friend of mine says. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, yeah, everybody should have done all this stuff. They didn't, but now, unfortunately, they're paying a really heavy price. Some of them, probably a lot of them, are actually going to go out of business, never to return. I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen to somebody. It's got to
Yeah. I mean,
happen to hundreds of thousands of businesses at least, right?
yeah. I mean, unfortunately, we're seeing that here in Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have some friends that own some businesses, and yeah, they were tourist based, and they're like, I mean, they're done. Like they can't reopen. So yeah.
But
so,
it is what it is. You help the ones that you can help, and you guys have figured out exactly how to move forward, not only for you, but for your clients, exactly how to move forward into a world that's really, like you said, it's the new normal. It's a brave new world out there. It's got some things that are just different from what things were back, let's say January. I mean, even as soon as January, right? Things were different. And you do great stuff. I know your heart's in the right place. Y'all are great teachers, and I'm really, really looking forward to people getting their hands on this stuff and actually, getting into it, bringing it to businesses and starting to help a lot of businesses. This is really wonderful, Tom. I really do appreciate your time. As always, it's fabulous to talk with you. Aloha.
Yeah, aloha. Thanks so much for having me on.
You bet, buddy. I'll see you very, very soon.
All right. Bye.